Howdy, brothers.
Welcome back to another episode of Whiskey and Water.
I'm your co-host, Jess.
And I'm your co-host, Liv.
And we are so happy to be here.
We are back at it again. I feel like we say that every week, but every week we are indeed back at it again.
The consistency is incredible.
You love to see it, period. Okay, but before we get into this week's episode, we're going to tell you about our show sponsors. First up, being Celsius. Today we have sparkling kiwi guava. Honestly, one of my favorite flavors to date. I usually don't like sparkling things, but I love this. Mm-hmm. It is clean energy, healthy energy, accelerates metabolism, and burns body fat.
I mean, even my mom is on this stuff now.
I mean,
she tagged me in a story this morning and she goes, shout out to at the Jessica Experience for getting me on to Celsius. I was like, okay, Ma.
Moms love it.
Mom's out here trying to get this healthy energy because you know what? That shit has no high fructose corn syrup, no aspartame, no preservatives, and no artificial colors or flavors. You love to see it.
That part. And then for our second sponsor, we told you a little bit about them last week. We're going to keep sharing it. Actually, we're going to be sharing about them for a while because
we may or may not have locked in a year-long contract, baby.
You love to see it. Okay, continue.
With that being said, you guys better put on for Women's Realm. They are here to empower you through expert tips and advice that are specifically curated to help women live their best life.
Yes, it is a resource for women of all ages. It includes tips, advice, and product guides. They have exclusive discounts and so many products available for women, and it's hard to sift through to find the best ones like on our own. So this website makes it super easy. Women's Realm does that for you and so much more.
Hell yeah, brother. Go check them out.
Okay.
Both of those sponsors are in our show notes, so if you guys need any links, you can find them there.
Yes. While we're here, we want to go ahead and tell y'all, if you're listening to this episode, if it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever you end up listening, make sure to take a screenshot right now. Click, and post us on your story. Show us some love. Let us know you're listening. We got a lot of love on last week's episode about the influencer, how to be an influencer, and it really warms our heart seeing that stuff. You guys have no idea how much it means to us. So definitely tag us in your stories and show us some love.
And this week we have on an incredible, inspiring boss bitch. Her name is Lindsey Heppner. And yeah, we just have an incredible conversation. She is the CEO and founder of Vammped. That's Vampped. And she's just incredible.
Yeah, so basically, I was going to say basically, like Vammped. Basically, Vammped is like an influencer agency, a marketing agency. She works with a lot of brands to create content for them. She was one of the first people to pioneer like an influencer trip, which is when you just grab like 10 or 20 influencers, go on vacation and have it sponsored by a brand and just get a fuck ton of content. And like she was literally one of the first people to do that, like even back in the day. Jess and I have been looking up to her for like forever since she started Vammped, and we've always kept an eye on what she was doing with the company and like the different types of clients they were getting on board, and we were always so like impressed by what she was doing. So it just feels so like full circle to have her on as a guest, and it was like just such a great conversation. You guys are really gonna like just eat this up.
Yeah, and we also went on her podcast, which is awesome. It was the first time we've ever been on someone else's podcast. The podcast is called Revamped. Yeah. Love the name. And yeah, if you guys want to go check that out too, please go do.
Yeah, definitely go check that out. We talk more with her about like more tactical, practical. We keep saying that.
More tactical and
practical, baby. Oh, do I see new like merch?
New merch. Tactical and practical.
Okay, what was I saying? Oh, so what we talk about on hers is more about time management, managing multiple projects at a time, how we batch our content and our like idea days, and how we like kind of just brainstorm together. So we talk a lot about just our workflow, but this episode with Lindsey, we talk a lot about her journey and how she got into it. She has an amazing story about how she kind of just dropped the ordinary career path and really went for it as an entrepreneur, and how she's really just built her success
in this digital space before this was even like there was any path paved. Like she really, like Olivia said, pioneered her own path here.
Yeah, so we're so hyped for you guys to listen to this episode. Again, please show us some love. Go show Lindsey some love. Let her know you're listening, and we'll get right into the episode.
Enjoy, guys. All right, guys, and we are on with Lindsey. Lindsey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Awesome. So if you want, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and that beautiful sign behind you.
Yes, we are at the studio at Revamped Podcast, my entrepreneur advice podcast. And I love talking to you guys because you know the struggles and how hard it is to actually get this going. So kudos to you guys that we're actually on your podcast right now talking. But I am the founder and CEO of Vammped, the influencer agency here based in LA. And we've been around for around 7 years. And I curate and strategize for multiple brands around the world. And we manage influencers. And we kind of just make a lot of noise in the digital space. Yeah.
Yeah, we've known about you for so long just through that. Like so many of our friends have gone on Vamp trips, like Alexa, Cindy, and just so many more. So we've always looked up to you in that aspect and just Vamped, and we've always seen all the waves that you guys are making. So it's awesome to have you on today.
Oh, I love that. I love Cindy and Alexa. They are the best. And
yes.
It's a bummer to not see them as much as I used to, but yes, they're great girls.
Yeah, they're awesome. They are actually, when we shoot once a week, they're always a part of the group that we all shoot content together. We all help each other out. We all do little events in Miami together. So yeah, those are our gals.
That's our Miami squad.
So good. Awesome.
Yeah. So we're super excited to have you. And I think to start off the episode, we definitely want to get into what kind of got you to this point and a little bit about your background, maybe if you went to school, what you might have studied. So yeah, just give our audience a little synopsis, yeah.
Okay. Well, I definitely got into designing first. I went to school for fashion and I dabbled in a lot of things like sewing, clothing, and I just wanted to soak up everything that had to do with fashion. I was always interested in it. Tom Ford was my muse, which I think kind of, if you notice, like all the content I create and everything is kind of like very those kind of big letters and all that stuff. So
I love that.
I really gravitate towards him and his masculinity, but also just really simplistic curation of what he does. But basically I went to school for fashion, and then I decided to also get a degree in business marketing, which, wow, that paid off. Thankfully I went into that realm, but I really did. I was so focused on fashion. I designed a lot for a lot of different brands, and it was in swimwear. So I have a huge design background in swimwear.
Cool.
And I really, really didn't like working for anyone. I'm very much like a think outside the box kind of girl. And when you work for a business 9 to 5, they want you to be really, really structured. And that's just not who I am. I am a free, uncaged bird. And it took something very traumatic, like a car accident, for me to reevaluate the lifestyle I was living. And that's when I started Vammped. I started in 2014 after my car accident because I was bedridden for 4 months.
Wow.
And I made a business plan, and I was like, when I get out of here, I'm fucking going for it. So
that's amazing.
That's what happened. Yeah.
That's incredible. What? Okay.
And,
if you are comfortable talking about this, I think this is like so beautiful. That's something that we didn't know, and I guess how would we have known? But I think that's so crazy that you had such like a pivotal moment in your life to go this entrepreneurial route.
Yeah, I feel like I've always had it in me to always be that black sheep. I've always, like, anytime everyone's going this way, I always wanted to go the other way. So that has never been something different. But what had happened that year is I was really, really depressed. My whole life was kind of crumbling, from dating, the guy that I thought I was going to marry, to thinking I was in a position at my job that was like the ideal job, and everything just wasn't feeling right. And I, in some ways, I really wanted the car accident to happen, because I was at that point where, I wasn't mentally stable, and it seemed like an out. It definitely seemed like an out. And I think a lot of people probably right now can relate to those kind of feelings because of what's happening right now in the world. And it is scary. You do get into this mindset of like, this is probably an easier way to do it instead of always waking up every day thinking you don't want to live anymore. So that was kind of where I was at. And when I got into the car accident, I survived it. And the only reason why I survived it is because I wanted it to happen. And usually when you don't want it to happen, you break and you freak out and all this stuff. And for me, it was the opposite. I didn't break. I wanted it to happen and I let go and I closed my eyes and was just hoping it would just fully take me and not, half take me. But I woke up in the hospital and I was alive and I told myself, this is a second chance at life, and I want to do it right and I want to do the best I can be and I wanted to help other people, and how I was going to do that was going to be through being creative and also, I built my business around a community. I made a community and it was just around good people and inspiring others. And I've always had that kind of those values and integrity for this business. And anyone that knows me knows I'm that way. I'm a very driven person, but at the end of the day that I really, really care about people first. And I think that shows through all the clients we work with continuously and the influencers we've worked with for 7 years now. So yeah, that's kind of like what happened.
We both got like just the biggest goosebumps at the same time. Thank you for being so transparent and open and honest about that. I'm sure that's not something that's easy to do or to reflect on, but I think so many people are going to find a lot of value in your story and what you said. Well, I'm like speechless.
Yeah, no, that was incredible.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were able to, make it such a pivotal moment in your life and launch, this incredible company that's, completely, gotten you to where you are today is just amazing.
And making waves in this industry. I mean, like she mentioned before, we've known about Vammped since you guys started. Like we've always kept an eye on what you're doing and really looked up to you as a boss woman,
Mm-hmm.
So that's really incredible. Wow. Okay, so I kind of want to know what exactly inspired you to launch Vammped. Like,
did you see like a gap in the space that you felt like you could really, capture?
Yeah, I feel like at that time, Instagram wasn't really anything. I remember getting word about it and I looked at it and I was like, wow, okay. So people just take pictures of walls and, just random stuff. I'm like, where is this leading? Like, why do people like this? So I started thinking about it and I actually wanted to start really long time ago, a fitness blog. So me and my boyfriend, who was a creative at the time, after, the accident, I started dating someone else who was a photographer. And we started creating content for me to be like a fitness kind of influencer. Well, that word wasn't coming out yet, but basically that was what I was trying to do. And it's so funny to think at that time that I was like, that was my mindset. I was like, I'm going to make a blog. I'm going to post this on Instagram. But then I was like, oh, this is so much work. I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to I want to creatively direct other people's stuff. I don't want to be the focus. And I've always wanted to be a creative director. That's why I think that Vammped started, is because I loved thinking outside the box for other people. So I saw like an idea of like, okay, I'm going to take other people's brands, curate their content, which was basically me, because I've been a model for a really long time. And once I stopped doing that, I started designing. And then I'm back into trying to be a model for these other brands during the incubator stages of Instagram. And so I knew a lot of people in the space because I worked for them as models. So I was like, okay, can I use your product? I'll post on Instagram. We'll do this stuff. And that was how I started developing this kind of like idea of creative directing for other brands. And then they started going, okay, we love this content. Can you do our shoots? And I was like, yeah, no problem. So I started doing their shoots, and then I started managing I started hiring talent who had huge followings on Instagram, and we didn't know where that was coming from, right? We were just like, these people are famous for what reason, you know?
Right.
And they weren't making money. They just were popular. So I started implementing them into shoots, and like someone like Sahara Ray, I managed right off the bat because she was like, I need a manager. Can you manage me? I was like, yeah, sure. I don't know how to be a manager, but I'll do it. Then that was just the steamroll. Like the ball kept going. Like I just started managing Helen Owen, and then managing Ellen Vilora, and like just all these people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, this is great, because traditional modeling agencies didn't want to manage these people. They're like, these aren't real models. We don't look at them as real models. So I was like,
jokes on
great.
them.
I will take them all.
Yes.
And
Come to
I
mama.
will create my own. Yeah. I was like, I will create my own influencer agency. And so that's kind of what happened, is like we really started that. We started like just grabbing everyone that was like big in the space and who was really popular. And I really had an eye for the next upcoming girl or guy. So I just would like approach them and be like, hey, I'll manage you or whatever. And they're like, yeah, sure. Like, I didn't know we could make money in this space. And I was like, you can. So I started doing that. And then that's when year 2 comes. I had an idea for us to do tours. And we were the first agency to do influencer tours. And no brand at that time even had any idea what we were doing. They're like, this sounds like such a stupid idea. Like, why would we want to put budget money, marketing money to you to activate a bunch of people we don't care about?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was so hard to get people involved, but someone did trust us, and it's San Lorenzo Bikinis. We went to Hawaii. We had 20 plus influencers. No one knew what the fuck we were doing, but we made a lot of noise. And next thing you know it, every brand is doing an influencer tour around the world.
I mean,
So,
that's such a huge thing. And to learn that you guys are the first to do it, it was a catalyst in the influencer industry. Like,
yeah.
we ourselves have been on so many influencer trips, and that's just insane. And I love that you took, like, all you did was you took the first step and then you went with the flow. You said, okay, I like the direction this is going in, and I'm going to just try and capitalize on this any way I can. You know, like, it was such a snowball effect. And I think that that's so awesome. I feel like, you know, the first step is really just starting. You don't really have to have everything figured out, especially when you're kind of breaking into a new space like that. Like, you really, you know, you made your own path, and I love that.
Yeah. And, you know, I always, like, even to now, we're, you know, pivoting, and I'm thinking of new ways to, you know, amplify the business. And I'm very much a quiet person about new ideas. Like, I do not tell anyone until we actually make it happen. And that's always been important to me, because obviously when it comes to a digital platform, when you talk about things happen right away. You know, people take those ideas and go run with them. So the idea that we had when we did the influencer tours, like, we didn't want to tell anyone until we did it. And yeah, and it's just been the same way, you know, with all my businesses. With, I don't know if you guys saw, like, the presets, the chic photo bundles that we did.
The ones that I bought, yes.
Yeah.
I did buy them. Absolutely.
How do you love them?
I love them. They're awesome.
Yeah. So, like, stuff like that, you know, we saw that, you know, creatives were making presets. Obviously, it wasn't like a new idea, but the idea that I thought about was, I want to make a community out of this. I want, you know, everyone that we love to talk about it, go on live, involve the audience. And all the girls had such a great experience about it, because it was a community during a time where we were supposed to not be a community.
Mm-hmm.
So just things like that, you know, we're always trying to make an experience happen. And even to, like, I can't say the name of it, but, you know, the festival party that we put on last year, not last year, actually, the year before, which was our biggest event at that festival. You know, everyone would, like, people would ask us, or ask me too, what is Vammped? What is Vammped? And I'm like, you know what? I'm so sick of hearing this. I'm going to just call this party Who the Fuck is Vammped, you know? And our merch, everything was about
remember
that.
that.
It's
And
amazing.
yeah, because I was like, you know what? I'm just going to play along. And then the funny thing is when you play along like that, then people actually do their research and go, oh, I know what Vammped is. It's like, I have to just tell you too who the fuck is Vammped. I have to add with you. So that was such a great marketing thing for us as well. And I just think like with this agency and with this branding, I'm always just trying to be an outsider and also an insider, which I think is really important with marketing. You can't always just assume like you're going to be the puppet master. You have to also be the puppet, I guess, you know, and like, what do I want to see? What do I want to see next? And what is the lack of here in this, you know, in this space? And so it's seen both sides, I guess. And that's what's so fun about marketing.
Yeah, totally. And you have to create from that space of being in it, because how else would you know otherwise? How else would you know where there's a gap in the market or where things can be improved? You have to be in it to really know. I do want to touch kind of on your journey into where you are now before we move on. And like, I just think there's a theme in entrepreneurship, which I really liked about your story, how it kind of naturally evolved, where you kind of just did the next best thing that you thought was best and most creative and would be the most successful. And like Jess said, it kind of snowballed into what it is now. And I think the way entrepreneurship is different than, you know, the stereotypical 9-to-5 is that when you have the 9-to-5, you already have that path. You have that ladder to success. You have the raises that you're going to get in your 3rd year and your 5th year. And with entrepreneurship, and like what really shows in your story is that you just have to do the next best thing, and you have to trust that amazing things are going to come after that, even though you don't know what that looks like yet.
Totally. And that's the thing that, you know, obviously none of us planned for a pandemic. That was not on our like goal list for the next 5 years. And I think when you become an entrepreneur and you don't become someone that is working for the man, you have to kind of always be on your feet and your A game. And the road looks different. The road is bumpy. The road is smooth. The road is, you know, not there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
you're forging your own road.
Yeah, you're creating your own road. And with a 9-to-5, you know, you kind of can check in, check out, and like not think too hard about the next steps, because there is someone higher up that's already doing that and planning out that, you know, process. So what is great about being an entrepreneur is you do wake up every day going, okay, what can I improve? What can I become? And how can I be better for my clients, or how can I be better for myself? And, you know, I'm going to be honest, a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can't, you know, get their mindset right to be that for themselves. And for me, it comes really, really naturally. And I am a seeker. I am a curious person. So I always want to be an innovator, and, you know, someone who can do something first before someone else does. And, or if it is in the space already, I want to be the best at it. I just have that mentality always that I am my biggest cheerleader. The people around me are my biggest cheerleaders. And I was even talking about that on my Instagram story yesterday, that you should fear your friends. You should definitely fear your friends, not fear your dreams. And what I mean by that is the reason why most of the time you do not go and achieve your dreams is because of the fact that you're afraid of what your closest friends think of you. It's not what the person at the post office thinks of you. It's what your friends think of you, because you want to feel supported. You want them to be like, yeah, go do it. Go, you know, you don't want them to think your ideas are crazy, because those are the people that are for your journey are going to be like, I'm proud of you. And you don't want them to feel jealous, or, you know what I mean? There's a reason why you're scared to always gloat around your friends, is because you honestly feel the jealousy or there's no support, you know, kind of like secretly. So I was telling my, you know, audience the other day that really, really reflect on that, because they're the reason you're holding yourself back sometimes on doing what you want to do.
Yeah, I love that. And a lot of times it's close family too, like the judgment
Yes.
the judgment of others, you know, definitely like a level of competition and jealousy, but also just pure judgment of like, you know, people can be very like skeptical about things, especially in this space where you are carving your own path and there isn't a path to success for you to just blindly follow. It's easy to definitely doubt, and especially if you don't know about the space from an outsider's perspective. But you just have to believe in yourself, and like you said, be your own cheerleader, and like know that you got this, and be confident in yourself and your you know, chances of success.
And also just take an audit of the people around you. And I think that this is something that you should constantly kind of be aware of, and just be aware of like your surroundings and like what's draining energy from you and who is inspiring you to move forward and do better in life. And you know, like obviously I think that's why Olivia and I work so well, is because like we're constantly like inspiring each other. Like, you know, it's never like an energy drainer when we're like talking about our goals and our dreams. It's like, how can we think bigger? How can I help you get there? You know, like, and it's also like, we're also each other's no person. So you can, I feel like it can be mistaken. Like you can tell someone, you know, your opinion. You're like, well, I have this great idea. And they're like, out of your best interest, they're like, hey, that might not be the greatest idea. So you just have to know, you know, your people around you have to have the best intentions. And I think that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah. And, you know, more and more I've noticed, I mean, I really don't feel like everyone is their best support system. Like you really have to learn to be that for yourself and not listen to the little person that's telling you in your ear, don't do that. Don't be good for yourself. You really have to mute that person. And it also, you know, has to do with your environment. I mute so many people on Instagram. I'm sorry, I'm not telling anyone who I mute.
Love
but
that.
If you're not
Same.
If you're not adding if you're not adding value to my life, you're not in my life. And I mute people out of respect that you do you. But if I'm waking up having anxiety, having fear, worried about what you're gonna post, and you're taking away from my positive mindset in the morning, you are not part of any aspect of my life. So it's really important to have that constant affirmations in the morning, especially, and at night. I think at night's really important too, to like go to bed like reading a book, like you were saying on my podcast, Jessica, just having like really good positive, you know, affirmations in when you sleep, because when you sleep you dream about, you know, your success or things that bother you and give you anxiety. So you want to wake up having a great day, but you have to implement these things to be a good entrepreneur. You know, a lot of times, you know, I don't want to wake up and you know, do all this stuff that makes me great, but I'm happy after. You know, it's like going to the gym. Like, oh, it sounds like a nightmare to do, but then once you go, then you're like, oh my gosh. Like,
right.
Yes. I love that. I love that analogy.
You mentioned something about, you know, having your close friends be jealous or kind of in feeling like they're in a competition with other people's success.
Yeah.
And especially I think being a woman, it can be difficult to navigate that. Do you feel like you have had interactions where people either get jealous of you, envious, or they see you as a threat or a challenge? Do you feel like because you're in a position of power, you can be seen differently, maybe as a bitch? How do you navigate that space? I'm curious to know.
I don't think I've ever been called a bitch.
That's good.
But
Can't relate.
if I am,
Wish I could say the same.
Yeah. But if I am, I mean, if I am called that, there had to be some really deep meaning for that, because I am a very positive person. I am a huge girl fan. Like, I am so supportive. I am not the type of person that's jealous of anybody. I think that we're all on our own path. And the reason why I don't get jealous is because I want to support other people, because that's genuinely what I want from others. So
right.
There's no reason to be jealous. If anything, I get frustrated when people are saying that they're girl bosses and that they support women and then they don't. You know, I think there's just let's be transparent right now. And I haven't talked about this yet, but I've actually talked about it with a client yesterday. And there's so much hype on like girls support girls and like let's be girl bosses, and like there's this whole mantra of being that way, but then these actions aren't being performed, you know? I feel like if you're gonna say you're a girl boss and you support women, fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Don't attack women. Don't like cancel culture them. And like we're all trying to survive right now, you know? So I just think that there's just so much hype around that, but I really feel like if you care about women, you care about supporting their business, don't fucking try to see it go burn in hell right now, you know?
Totally.
So that's always bugged me because I love women. Like anyone that knows me I'm a huge girl lover. Like I want to see them like prosper and everything. I'm so supportive to all my friends. And yeah, along the years, I mean, I've gotten hated on so much. People thought I was delusional. They thought I was never capable of holding a job. And the only reason for that was, this is what I was thinking. I would go and do internships and go work at businesses for 9 months. I gave it 9 months because at 9 months, I knew everything about the job and I was fucking bored. So I'd go to another business and learn all that. And you know what? The reason why I'm a successful entrepreneur is because I took all that knowledge and implemented it in my business. I didn't stay there for 5 years and do everything with my eyes closed because I already learned it. So people always thought that, oh my gosh, Lindsey can't hold a job. She's so erratic and she, you know, she's never going to like actually stay somewhere. And they didn't realize like, I'm smarter than the average bear over here. I'm doing this on purpose, you know?
There's
but
a
you
method.
couldn't explain that to people.
There's a method to
you
the
couldn't
madness.
explain that to people.
Yeah, and
exactly.
you almost, you know, it's not even people's business, you know? You're like, I'm on my own path. I'm doing my own thing. Like, you know, these people can think whatever they want, but you know that you're good. You know, you're setting yourself up for success, and no one's opinion, you know, matters at the end of the day, you know? Their opinions aren't feeding your pockets, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was very much for a really long time, and I still am. I'm very much like Michael Phelps. Like I have blinders on and I'm just going for what I want. And if you have all that time to watch me, then I'm stoked for you because you're just now a consumer to me. You're not a competitor. You are a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So
that part.
You are, period. She said, period.
You will be buying my products.
Oh my God,
because you're wasting
love
too
that.
much time. Yeah, you're wasting too much time looking at what I'm doing. So you might as well just start shopping. But basically,
I'm dead. Period. I love it.
But yeah, basically, you know, a lot of the people that I, you know, got rid of in my life were toxic, were leeches, were people that were draining me. And they always were like, why you gotta have to go do this and da-da-da-da. And it's like, when you start having friends like that are questioning your path and not supporting you and always like talking down to you and making you feel dumb and all that stuff, that's when you like mute them. And also too, I've noticed that people don't want to reflect on what they're doing. That's why they are insecure about what you're doing, is because then they have to look at themselves and go, shit, my life isn't together. Like she's doing so much and I have to now reevaluate me. And I've noticed that. I'm like, you know, if that makes you mad that you have to question yourself, that's not a me problem. That's a you problem. And so I've learned in the past that like, look, if you're not going to support me and you're not going to love me the way I love you back and how much work I put through to you as our friendship, and, you know, I'm going to go do my own thing. And in 5 years, you're going to be hitting me up, asking me how I'm doing. So
asking if you can come to my Coachella party.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you can get in because it's invite only, but yeah. So
I love it so much.
That's the tea.
That's the tea. I love that.
That's the tea.
It certainly is. I kind of want to go into some advice that you might have for small business owners or any entrepreneur in general. My question would be, what, especially owning, you know, this type of travel / event based business and dealing with a pandemic in 2020. I want to know your best advice for adapting to change. There's a lot to unpack here, so.
Yeah. No, I love that. And the thing is, for me, I love change. I think I got into this business because I can constantly reevaluate and change things and do different things. And that's what's been so great about Vammped is like, no one can pinpoint exactly what we do because I'm always wanting to do something different.
I love
so
that.
I think that's, yeah. And the reason why I made Vammped a brand is because that is marketing in a nutshell. A lot of agencies, they always try to stay behind the scenes and like, you know, they put their talent forward or whatever, or the brands forward. No, I want you to know the brand first, and then you get to know the clients we work with and the talent we work with. So I did the exact opposite because I saw in the space that all these agencies were hiding behind these people, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be the brand that you know first, and you remember the name, and then you'll look into what we're doing. And I wanted Vammped to be kind of this type of business where if we go and suddenly make food for dogs, you're like, oh, that's so Vammped. Like they would do that, you know? It wouldn't be like out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
So we have definitely pivoted during this time, and it was so fun for me to do that because I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do new things like the chic photo bundle presets and everything. That was super fun because I got to do a girl gang. And then, you know, we're doing something right now, which I can't talk about yet. It's still, you know, yeah, we got stuff up our sleeves. But I'm starting another business, and that will be amazing, which is going to really catapult even more because of the space that we've had to do now is like be online more, and people want more content. People want to be, you know, inspired. And so I'm really excited about that project. And then I have another project in the works right now. We're creating a brand. But yeah, I mean, I'm always pivoting. I'm always trying to figure out what's best and what's next. And you have to do that. You can't have this like 10-year, 5-year plan of this is exactly what we're going to do in 5 years. No, I don't even know what we're doing next week. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
for all
we
I
can
know,
relate.
I'm going to be underwater. You know,
Yeah,
like
you're
suddenly
not
there's a
wrong.
tsunami and now we have to live underwater. Like, how are we going to do that? So, I don't really plan really far into the years. I think like there has to be kind of a middle ground. Like you can't be too traditional, but you can't be too like I'm a robot now and we're gonna have robots. We need robots. It's like that's gonna be a while, you know.
Right.
Like you have to kind of have a middle ground of where you're gonna be, and you got to be smart about it. There's you know, forecasting in the digital space. You can kind of see what's about to evolve, and like you have to look at everything that's happening, like the pandemic and people wearing masks, and all these things kind of correlate into what is next and what are people going to do. So it's like you should start a clothing brand that's only cozy comfort wear, because that's all we're doing. We're staying inside. So you have to gravitate to those clients and make your content based off of that, because we are getting lazier. We want free access to more snack foods, and we want to watch more TV. We want to have more subscriptions. We are watching YouTube more. So why don't you make a YouTube channel? Like all these things are all integrating into what's happening in pop culture and the digital space, but you don't have to go extreme. Like, oh, we have to make an AR session right now. Like that, you don't have to go that crazy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
I think
you do kind of have to, yeah.
I think it's about picking up on those nuances, and I think as easy as it may come to you, I do think that is excuse me. I do think that is a skill that needs to be refined in a sense, is like sitting down and being like, okay, what is the trajectory of the next 6 months looking like, all things considered, you know, like current events considered, pop culture considered, different changes in the news, right? Like big political changes. So I think that's a really important note to make, is that is a skill to be able to kind of look into the future and make adjustments and like plan ahead based on that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even what you said about being constantly ready to change. I love that. And also, I don't think that comes natural for a lot of people. I think as humans, our natural state is like to be comfortable and safe, you know? So to always wake up and be ready to adapt and ready to change and see what you're doing that day and try to do it better, or go and make dog food, I think that's really cool, but also a skill that totally needs to be like nurtured and cultivated.
Yeah, and that, just like how you said, most people don't like change. And that is another view of how everything is going to be evolving, is how do we tap into the consumer that doesn't want to do anything, you know? That is where you market to them, is they don't want to change. They want it easier, simpler, to where they don't even have to get off their couch. So how are you going to build a brand, or how are you going to market to that person that just literally wants their eyes to be on a screen and not do anything? And that is what's happening. You know,
I am that consumer.
It is me.
It is me. You
her.
are selling to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, even though I'm the one that's like trying to figure out different things and trying to change my business constantly for the consumer can still be like consistent, you know, like this person that stays home, watches TV, wants to do Instacart for everything. That person can be for years, but you have to change. You have to implement different ideas to them, because constantly they're like, what can you do now this year that makes me not even move my finger to touch
right.
that, you know?
The scary
like,
direction we're heading.
It is, you know? So, well, I mean, it's already happening. Siri, can you buy everything I bought last month?
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, that's so crazy, and a great point to make. You really,
and
like, you're such a visionary. Like, even like thinking
it.
about that aspect of, like, you know, the consumer, like, I'm like, wow, like, you're just thinking out of the box. I love it. It's so inspiring.
Thanks.
Yeah, and honestly, like when you were talking earlier about like how you were kind of always like the black sheep, and like you never like to work for someone, and how you were kind of always like hopping around to different jobs, like that's literally like just that's my life story. And I don't know, I just relate to it so much. And like my background is in marketing, and I've worked for like 3 different marketing companies, and I literally just worked there for a few months, gained all of the knowledge that I could, and then I was just like, peace, because I can't work for someone. And for so long, you know, like society and my family told me that like, you know, I wasn't going to be successful because I didn't fit into like these traditional, you know, shoes. And it has been the utmost pleasure, the utmost fun to prove them wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing, is like, I feel like a lot of people have just this one document in front of them, and it says, this is how you are successful, and this is the only way you can become successful. And people just read that over and over and go, well, this person's doing a off this piece of paper I have in front of me. Like, I'm so confused. Like, this is not the way to success. And for me, I look at that paper and go, throw that fucking thing away. You know, like there is no breakdown for my life except for what I want to experience, what I want to actually succeed at. I get to choose every day what I want to do. If I want to sleep all day, or if I want to go, you know, after something that I've been curious about. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to take the time and effort to really, you know, build their dreams. And that's okay, because you can watch me on Instagram doing it. You know, I'm okay with that. I need the engagement.
Yes, that. And also, you know, someone has to build the train track. Someone has to be cleaning our teeth, and so, you know, like there's different lanes for every person and different paths for every person. However, with this being business and entrepreneur focused, definitely want to, you know, capture the things that make a strong and successful entrepreneur. And I even love what you said about not taking the traditional route and just having the kind of the will to wake up and teach yourself and learn what you're curious about. And especially something that we mention all the time is just like, we are so blessed to live in this day and age where there are so many resources online for free, podcasts, amazing tool, you know, if you use it the right way, and books, amazing like there's
even YouTube, TikTok is a tool these days.
You can learn whatever you want like that, and I'm just so thankful for that, because that changes the game and everything, you know. We have the privilege to not have to go get a college degree. We can teach ourselves very niche topics, or, you know, very niche trades, even sometimes fully online. Like, it's absolutely insane.
Are there any resources that like you would encourage people to look into?
Oh, I mean, if you don't know about YouTube, you're under a rock. You know, I make it a priority every week to learn something new. And it's so fun because like, I don't know, I just want to get into real estate, or I want to get into like learning like how the best way to market on LinkedIn, or I don't know. It's just, this is not only for myself. I love knowledge. Like, I think my brain is the best part of me. And that can only happen by me making it happen, you know? So I try to learn something every single week, whether it's for podcasting, whether it's for marketing, whether it's for a specific brand. Like, I just want to better my clients. I want to better my talent. I want to better my business. I want to better myself. And so YouTube is a really big platform I always use. I also, when I find really, really like positive people and creative entrepreneurs and driven people, I want to buy their subscriptions and like take their courses. There's never not enough knowledge to learn, you know, even in like, I don't have all the answers. I know what I'm good at, but I want to soak up as much as I can on everything and like dabble into new things I'm going to enjoy. And this space is always adding new apps and new elements of like, you know, like TikTok and all these things. So it's good to learn, and I don't know, it just is endless. It's really endless.
Totally. It truly is. And I think it's important to note that you can carve out the time to learn too. Just how we talked about time blocking on Lindsey's podcast, which go listen because we just did an episode before this one. But time blocking learning even, because like, for example, on Tuesdays, we kind of do our own things. And although I'll look into real estate investing, although I might not have specific to do tasks, I'm carving out the time to learn, to go on forums and read things and listen to podcasts and read a book and things that I just don't know about, but I always hear. I take the time. What is this about? How does it work? So much about entrepreneurship is about taking that initiative to learn what you don't know yet.
Yeah, no one's going to sit there and, you know, teach you. I mean, so of course, you know, mentors are a great, you know, resource, but you definitely have to be your own best teacher.
Yeah. And, you know, more than ever this year, I've been listening to podcasts. You know, before I wasn't as, you know, we were out in the world living, so there wasn't enough time to be listening to stuff like that. But now more than ever, like, I want someone in my ear. I want to have a coach. If you can't pay for your own personal coach, get on and listen to Gary Vee or listen to Tony Robbins, or, you know, that is your coach in your ear every morning, you know, telling you, don't be lazy, go do it.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. And
one of her favorites.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
He says the same thing. He says the same thing over and over. It's because only 0.0000001% are actually going to go do it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's going to keep saying the same thing over and over because no one really is going to do it. And it's people like you and me that will go and do it. But yeah, it's just, you know, seeing things on YouTube, hearing things in my ear. And also, you know, I'm a huge fitness buff. I think that that's the time that I have to myself. Yes. I get to go focus on, you know, stress relieving and building my muscles and like getting just like proud of myself. Like, that's such a confidence booster, is to like have fitness and, you know, really take charge of the day. But these are things that I'm implementing constantly, you know, getting this right for my mental health. And that's being active, learning new things, and having people in my ear that are my coaches.
Yeah, I love that. I actually just came across a quote. I think it was today or yesterday. You are the greatest project you will ever work on. I love that.
Truth.
It's true.
Yeah.
I definitely want to ask about, a few episodes ago, we were talking about just the new year and setting resolutions, and we had mentioned this concept of, instead of being goal oriented, being habit oriented. And I think that's really important for entrepreneurs like yourself to just implement those good habits, like taking care of your mental health, taking care of your physical health, carving out the time to learn and things like that. Are there any habits that you feel like you've implemented recently that have really made a difference for you, or are there things that you're working on?
I've made it an even bigger habit to have boundaries on myself and other people. The reason why I say that as like a really important thing for me is because I'm the type of person that will give everything to someone without receiving anything. And I didn't realize that until I, got a life coach slash therapist this year about setting boundaries for myself. And he basically was telling me, he's like, you need to stop sleeping around with all your friends and expecting them to marry you. And I was like, fuck.
Hard pills to swallow.
You're right. Yeah, he's like, you are literally having everyone be your best friend. Everyone's like, you're naming them something that they're not. And I reevaluated that, and I was like, damn, because I was always so stressed out. I was always like feeling insecure and uncomfortable when like, I was putting so much effort on someone and then I wasn't receiving. I'm like, why? Like, we're friends, we're best friends. And it's like, wait a minute, maybe we're not, because my real friends, my best friends would pick me up from the hospital. They would, contact me and see how I'm doing today. And they would put in the effort of like back and forth, relationship. And that was a huge thing for me, is having boundaries on people. Like, no, you're not going to have all of me for free. Like, I am a prize. I know my worth. And now you are going to prove to me that we're friends, So
I love that.
It's been a big shift for me, because I'm always the one that's doing so much for others. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it definitely should be given to the people that deserve it.
Totally. Yeah, we talk actually a lot about boundaries within friends, work, definitely, and even family, because sometimes it's not even intentional. Sometimes someone does genuinely have your best interest in mind, but maybe it's just something that they're not aware of.
Yeah.
So, and there's a nice way to do it, right? Like there's a way to say everything where you can be like, hey, this is not personal. It's just something I need to do for myself. And that's kind of how we've talked about framing it in the past. And then especially with work, like, you give people an inch, they will take a mile. Like, even for example, before I came here, it's like, hey, listen, your lack of planning is not my inconvenience. I need to go. I'll be back.
Yeah.
I have to go back after this.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the thing. It definitely is implemented in clients, friends, business, everything you do. You have to have boundaries, and you have to be vocal about it, because I think people respect you more too when you are vocal about your time. And that's the one thing you can't get back right now is time.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I was with a client yesterday, and he was like, how much is your hourly rate? In the sense of like mine's like, how much money would it actually be that you're losing if you went on a coffee, if you went to a coffee with someone, like, how much is there value to it? Like, if you're $1,000 an hour, like, are you going to $1,000 cup of coffee interview or meeting or whatever? And it's like, oh my gosh, I love that. No, I am not. I'm not going to that meeting today. It ain't worth it,
Yeah.
because I do only have a certain amount of time a day. And if that person doesn't provide me something like knowledge or inspires me, or I help them build, and vice versa, like, that's a coffee date I can just pass up. Like, there's no value to it.
Yeah.
Totally.
So,
I love that. And that's not to say that there's not value in like community and feeling really connected, right? Because when we feel connected, that's value. When you genuinely enjoy someone's company, enjoy catching up with them, it doesn't have to be in business or make you more successful, but there needs to be some sort of value that you are getting from that transaction of time. Because like you said,
people will just want to like have a meeting, have a call, have a coffee date, and you're like,
Yeah.
you're like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't just do this.
It's something
you know?
we can do a back and forth email on. Like our time is seriously the most valuable asset.
We're like, hit up our assistants.
Yeah, like,
Totally, exactly. You have
Here's
to
your
choose.
email.
You have to pick and choose that, and that comes with friends and everything. Like, you have to be mindful of that.
For sure.
Totally. Amazing. Well, I feel like we had such an incredible conversation. Before we wrap things up, we do want to ask the 2 questions that we ask every guest. So we'll go ahead and get right into it.
So the first one is going to be, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received? Like something that someone told you that just really stuck in your mind.
You can take a minute too.
Don't take life so serious.
Okay. I love that.
And it's hard for me because I take everything serious because of the fact that I'm so passionate about everything. But sometimes you kind of have to just like let your hair down and be okay with what's happening in front of you and take a back seat and be like, wow, I did that. Like I never pat myself on the back enough and like just relax and not be so serious about it. And like, this is fun, Linz. Like this is like, enjoy this for a second.
Totally. I love that. I think it's a balance that I don't know if we'll ever find, it's just something we constantly work on.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last question is, what is your best business pro tip? So it could be something small, could be something huge, could be a mindset tip.
Could be like the favorite app you use, whatever
literally
it may
anything.
I feel like I'm always pushing this, and I want to say it again, is don't fear the unknown. Fear being 80 or 70 and looking back and going, wow, I didn't do anything with my life.
Ooh, I just got chills.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's the one thing I would say is like fear is a mindset. It's not a tangible thing. You can tell it to go away right now. So go out there and pursue your dreams.
Navigating fear is a whole other episode, but
wow,
this was so valuable for our audience. I'm probably going to listen to this again because it was just so inspiring. You are just making waves in this space, and we're so excited to have connected with you after so long of like watching you do your thing. And
thank you guys.
Totally. Yeah. Where can people find you if they want to follow you and follow your journey?
So my personal is Lindsey Heppner because someone took my full name, but that's fine. It's Linz and then Heppner, Heppner. And then my business, Vammped, this is the spelling of it. And then my podcast is Revamped.
Perfect. And we'll put all of that in the show notes as well so that people can go click and it'll be hyperlinked. But wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. And guys, if you like this episode, please take a screenshot, share it to your stories, tag us, tag Lindsey, tag Vammped, tag Revamped, and have an amazing week, brothers. We will see you again soon.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.